Time to take a look at my Disney pin collection. And as you can see, I have quite a few. Hello everybody and welcome to the very first episode of The Collection Show. My name is Chris and I'm your host, and today we're going to be going over one of my many random collections that I happen to have on my person. So a couple things before we get started. First of all, as you can see, the video might look a little different, and no, I have not changed cameras. It's actually because this is the first video I'm filming with my new gimbal, which is basically a device that stabilizes video. It's more so for when I'm walking around, but I can also use it as a tripod. So you'll probably see more videos like this. I'm still planning on using my traditional tripod when I'm at home, but this is probably the tripod you're gonna see when I'm out other places because it's the easiest tripod I can use, and I'm going to use the gimbal a lot. So just, if it looks a little different, that's why. Second of all, what is this show? It's a brand new series on BigCTV where, at least for now, I'm going to be showing off several of my personal collections because I collect a lot of kind of eccentric things. And then eventually I want to have both my friends and my viewers share their personal collections. So it's going to be very interesting, and I think it'll be a lot of fun, as well as it's a nice change up from the usual content that I put out on this channel. So one request that was made when I polled my friends on Facebook what collection people would like to see first, and the one that seemed to get the most attention is my Disney pin collection. So I'm going to show that off. As you can see, I have one gigantic book. And when I say gigantic, it is bursting at the seams how many pins I have in this book. I really need another book. I just never have bothered to get one. I don't know why. It's kind of silly. I'm going to show you all the pins that I currently have, as well as I actually have a few that I don't have room in the book for. I ran out of room on certain pages. And I've tried to kind of sort based on certain factors, which I'll get into when I show you the pins. I'm also going to point out some of the particularly interesting or special pins, at least to me. So this is kind of a deep dive into my collection. And this is kind of the format that we're going to be going for with this show, is I'm going to show you obviously most of my collection, and then I'm also going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into it. So why do I collect Disney pins? Well, growing up, I went to the Disney parks all the time, and it got started with pin trading fairly early in the whole process's life. Pin trading actually started in 1999 as part of the Millennium Celebration at Walt Disney World, and I got into it like 2002, something like that. So it was only a couple years old when I first got into pin trading, and I've been pin trading ever since. Now, since pin trading has now been going on for 21 years, a lot of pins out there. I do not have the most extensive of collections like a lot of people do. I only like to collect pins that appeal to me personally, so don't have as many super rare or valuable pins as a lot of people do, although I do have some of those. But I have pins that appeal to me personally, and you'll be able to tell that based on the collection that I have. And I actually have some more pins I'm going to show you that are not part of the book, or my extra pins that have some great importance to me. So we're going to start off with the book. And what I tried to do is sort based on the park. In some instances I couldn't do that, like Animal Kingdom and Disneyland get grouped together for some reason because I just ran out of room. Maybe when I get a second book, I can kind of spread things out a bit more, and certain pages are a little bit more clogged up than others. They're all pretty clogged up though. Alright, so page 1. This is my Magic Kingdom page. So as you can see, I have a lot of different Magic Kingdom based pins, a lot of Haunted Mansion, a lot of anniversary pins. Obviously, I'm a big Mr. Toad fan, so anytime there's a Mr. Toad pin, I have to collect it. The Then and Now series is one of my favorites. I have a lot of various Haunted Mansion pins, including, I'm proud of this one, I have the 9909 cast member pin. That one's pretty cool. And some anniversaries, like I have Space Mountain Anniversary, the People Mover Anniversary, the 40th of Haunted Mansion, stuff like that. So this is a pretty nice collection of attractions that mean a lot to me. Probably the one that's the rarest, I'd say, is the Alien Encounter pin, because it's not every day you find an Alien Encounter pin. So I thought that one was pretty cool. So that's Magic Kingdom. Next up, we have Epcot. Now, you should be able to tell very, very quickly that Epcot is my favorite park. It has been my favorite park forever. And I have a lot of pins relating to Epcot, but specifically /3 attractions in particular. So here's my Epcot page. It is as full as I can possibly make it. And as you can see, I have a lot of pins based around Mission Space /Horizons and Test Track. So Test Track was my favorite ride growing up at Epcot ever since it opened in '99. So I have a lot of different Test Track related pins. A lot of them. I also have a lot of Mission Space and Horizons pins because Horizons was my favorite ride at Epcot when I was even younger. So I got a lot of Horizons related pins. I got a lot of Epcot stuff in general. This one right here is actually a Universe of Energy logo pin. You can see that real quick. I got that right after Universe of Energy closed. And then this one actually opens up. It was a cast member stained glass pin. Where is it? There it is. For Mission Space. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, I have some other odds and ends. Like I have the Captain EO. I have some Journey to Imagination. I have a Maelstrom pin right here. And then this one is Spaceship Earth, the metal. Right up there on the top. So it's a nice, interesting, varied set of things, but it's mostly Mission Space, Horizons, and Test Track. I have a few others that I just don't have room for on that page. I have the Journey into Imagination emblem pin, which was one of the cast member secret pins, and then I also have the Land Pavilion logo pin as well. So those are ones that I just kind of have to keep off to the side because I don't have room in my book, sadly. Alright, this one. Originally, this page was my Hollywood Studios page. And then as it continued to grow, I realized very quickly that this is no longer a Hollywood Studios page. This is a Star Wars page. Half of this is Star Wars weekends, and half of it is Star Tours, or various other Star Wars related things. So this is my Star Wars page. I have logo pins from every Star Wars weekend leading up. I think it was started in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, all the way up to the final year in 2015. I have a bunch of Star Tours pins, anniversaries, just cool looking pins in general for Star Tours because I worked there and I opened The Adventures Continue, so of course I have to represent. And then at the bottom, I've got a Launch Bay and several Star Wars Galaxy's Edge pins that I, of course, had to add because Galaxy's Edge is awesome. Now, a couple that I got fairly recently that I unfortunately do not have room for on this page are the Star Tours 30th anniversary pin. And this one's cool because it actually flips around to reveal the Star Speeder 3000, which is the original Star Tours Star Speeder. So that was pretty cool. And then, of course, to represent my new favorite attraction in all of Walt Disney World, I have the Star Wars Rise of the Resistance logo pin. Can't fit that in my book at the moment. Hopefully I will. Eventually I'd like to get a new book, like I've said a few times, and hopefully then I can actually fit these additional pins in there, but for now they're just kind of off to the side waiting to be added eventually. So this next page is a kind of odds and ends page. Originally it was supposed to be Animal Kingdom, but then I got a bunch of Disneyland pins before I actually traveled to Disneyland, so it became the Disneyland and Animal Kingdom page. And then when the Hollywood Studios page became the Star Wars page, it also became the Hollywood Studios page. So this is just a combination of Animal Kingdom, Disneyland, and other odds and ends from around the Walt Disney World and Disneyland resorts. So I got some pretty cool ones on here. The top bunch is a bunch of Disneyland pins. I got a Haunted Mansion holiday pin from, what year was that? It was 2009. I got a lot of cool Disneyland pins that I got before I actually went to Disneyland, and then after I went, I decided to add to that collection. So now I have like the Radiator Springs Racers pins. I have a World of Color pin, Cars Land. Those I added after I went to Disneyland for the first time. The Pixar Fest pin, of course, from Pixar Fest in 2018. And then, of course, towards the bottom, I've got random Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom, I don't have much. I have a few Pandora pins and Everest and Cali River Rapids. Studios have a lot of Rock and Roller Coaster and some Tower of Terror. The rarest pin I think on here is I actually have the Lights Motors Action pin that you can only get if you were the stunt driver. So only like little kids who were able to be the stunt driver got this pin. I somehow got one. I'm like, might as well add that to my collection. So I think that's a pretty cool one. So I'm pretty proud of this collection. I think it's nice. It's got some nice little random odds and ends there on that page. Oh yeah, an extra for that page, which I was not able to fit, is I got a pin for Pop-Up Disney, which was a Disneyland specialty event kind of thing that they did at the Downtown Disney District. And I never actually went to it. I got the pin because it was on clearance at their version of Company D, which is like a cast member store. But I think it's pretty cool, and it's for a Disneyland event, so I figured, hey, might as well add that to the collection. This next page is going to be characters, or character-based pins. So I have a lot of characters that I'm very passionate about. Several that you will notice are on here multiple times are going to be, of course, Figment and Mr. Toad, which are two characters that don't get a ton of love, sadly. I've got some other odds and ends on here, but I'm pretty proud of this set. I think I've got some really cool character pins on here. So, as you can see, there's some Mr. Toad. I got some Brer Rabbit on there. 4 different Figment pins. I like this Tron pin. That was actually one of my first pins that I got. I still have it. A couple Buzz Lightyears. I have some obscure characters too. Like I have Brave Little Toaster, which, I mean, I didn't even know they made a pin for Brave Little Toaster, but they did. I got some Scrooge McDuck in there. It's a nice little collection. Of course, Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit are on there as well. So that one has some nice little unique pins that you don't normally see advertised that much. So that's part of why I had to get them, and they're based on some of my favorite properties. So this last page has morphed from a lot of different things. Originally, it was supposed to be like stuff that isn't based in a park. Then it became movies. And then it became park anniversaries and other celebrations. So now it's just kind of a fusion of all of those things. So it's a lot of movies, a lot of park celebrations, but it's pretty cool. So here's the last page. I have opening weekend pins for Tron Legacy, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Toy Story 3, Alice in Wonderland, Captain America Civil War, Guardians Volume 2. I got the 20th anniversary for Toy Story. This was Infinity War, and then I have The Last Jedi on there in terms of film pins. And I have a bunch of anniversary pins, Hollywood Studios anniversaries. I have at least 2 of those. I have Magic Kingdom anniversary. I've got Animal Kingdom anniversary, Epcot anniversaries. And then a couple odds and ends like the conservation pin. I do have a Shanghai pin up here because I thought it was kind of cool. They were selling them at our company store, so I'll get a Shanghai pin. And then the 3 patriotic pins at the top I actually got just after 9/11. They produced a whole line of pins that were like super patriotic, so I got 3 of them way back then. So yeah, that's my main pin collection. It's got a lot of stuff in it. It's pretty varied. There's a lot of different things from a lot of different eras and genres. But I have one more set I want to show before I wrap up this first episode of the collection show. So let's go take a look at my last few pins, which are not in a book, they're actually on a board. Alright, so this is my work location board. So I created this because I wanted to kind of honor all the different places I've worked at Disney. So I created a pin board that features all of the attractions or locations that I have worked at. So I've got a pretty cool collection here. And they're sorted by park. So here's Epcot, and of course the only location I've worked at Epcot is Mission Space, so I've got the Mission Space logo pin and the costume pin, which is pretty cool. Right below that we have Magic Kingdom, represented by the 45th anniversary pin, and then I have a Splash Mountain 20th anniversary pin and Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, represent Hollywood Studios, the park that I've worked by far the most locations. I'm actually missing one of mine, so I don't have every location of work represented, but I have two different Star Tours pins. I've got the launch Star Tours pin from 2011 as well as the costume pin. Great movie ride, RIP. I've got the costume pin as well as, that's not an official Disney pin, but it's the Once the Movie Rider pin. I got it from one of the closing events. The American Idol Experience, I have a pin for that attraction, which that attraction was awesome, super underrated. Elsa, they don't make an actual Frozen sing-along pin, but that's the closest I've got, so that's the one I'm going to use. Indiana Jones, that represents the Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, and then Muppet Vision 3D with the costume pin. Next up, we have Animal Kingdom. Now, I have Rivers of Light. I have worked Rivers of Light. I was never status there. I just picked up shifts, but I've worked Rivers of Light, so I feel that counts. And then I have a bunch of pins representing Pandora, Discovery Island, so the Ace and Navi River Journey pins, those are representing Navi River Journey. The ECI, or Pandora Conservation Initiative, and Avatar Flight of Passage pin, that is the opening team pin that you can only get if you're a member of the opening team for Pandora. And then there's no It's Tough to Be a Bug pin, but I got this A Bug's Life 20th anniversary pin to represent It's Tough to Be a Bug. Few. At the very bottom, I have Skyliner. That was a gift pin that was given out to people staying at resorts that were connected by the Skyliner. We actually got one of those. That was the Skyliner opening day pin, and then that's a pin that it was given out only to the transportation team if you were part of the Skyliner team. And then merchandise and my college program are represented at the bottom. So there you go. Those are all of my related pins that are on this board, and I hope to add to it very soon, but that's what I have right now. The only one that is not listed is I do not have a Jedi Training Academy pin. I still want to try to track one down, but at the moment I cannot find one, so this is what I've got for now. Alright, so that is my pin collection, and that is going to do it for the inaugural episode of The Collection Show. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think. I've got several other collections I'd like to show off eventually on this show, and then of course I want to get into some of my viewer collections as well as friends. So we'll be showing off some pretty varied collections, but the goal of the show is I want to show off all the different kinds of things that people can collect and why they're passionate about it. So if you have any questions about Disney pin trading, feel free to leave them in the comments. Do you collect Disney pins? If so, what are some of your favorites? Leave yours in the comments below, and who knows, maybe I'll feature some of your personal pin picks in a future collection show video. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching the first ever episode of The Collection Show, and I will see you next time. Bye!